Hey guys, Chris here. Today we're talking about the upcoming Audi Q6 e-tron, a new electric SUV from Audi that will be launched later this year in 2023. And we're going to talk about pricing, where it slots in, and how it actually doesn't clean up the Audi electric lineup and is a little bit of a confusing vehicle. Now let's kick this video off by talking about what we know about the Audi Q6 e-tron. So as I said in the intro, they're going to reveal it and launch it later this year. I'm guessing Q4 2023, November, December, which is around a year after they revealed the Audi Q8 e-tron, the facelifted version of the Audi e-tron, their first electric SUV. And as naming suggests, Q6 e-tron is going to slot in between Q4 e-tron and Q8 e-tron, price-wise at least, maybe not size-wise, and we're going to get back to that later. So price-wise, Q4 e-tron starts from 52,000 euros, Q6 e-tron is going to start from 60,000 euros, and Q8 e-tron starts from around 74,000 euros. So it's a lot closer in pricing to that Q4 e-tron, and that is probably because at launch, or the cheaper version, the 60,000 euro version, is going to be a rear wheel drive version with a smaller battery pack, possibly something like a Q6 e-tron 45 with rear wheel drive, which makes a lot of sense. If you equip the Q6 e-tron with four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive is probably going to be closer in price to that Q8 e-tron, which makes a lot of sense. And I said size-wise, it may not be smaller than the Q8 e-tron. I've talked about this in a few videos. I'm gonna correct myself a little bit here after reading more on this subject, and what we know is I don't think it's necessarily going to be bigger than the Q8 e-tron, which I said before, but it's not necessarily going to be smaller, if smaller at all. So sure, journalists have seen this car already in the flesh. They have been shown this car without camouflage, but they're not allowed to talk about what it looks like and weren't allowed to take photos. But from what I've read is that size-wise, it's going to be about the same size as an Audi Q8 e-tron, which makes a lot of sense, but also begs the question, why do we even have the Audi Q8 e-tron? Well, we're going to get back to that later in this video when we talk about the whole Audi nomenclature, which hasn't made sense since day one. It still doesn't make sense. But what the gist of this is really is that when the Audi Q4 e-tron came out, the first electric car, the Audi e-tron, got a lot of flack because it wasn't necessarily that much bigger on the inside when it came to cabin space and trunk size, even though it's a lot bigger on the outside. And the reason for this is that the Q4 e-tron is on a dedicated electric car platform, shared with, it's called the MEB platform, shared with the Volkswagen ID4, ID5, and also the Skoda Enyaq. So it's a very efficient packaging, meaning in a relatively small car, you're getting a lot of interior space. The Audi Q8, on the other hand, the Q8 e-tron, is built on the MLB Evo platform, which is a converted ICE platform. It underpins everything from the Audi Q7, Audi Q8 internal combustion versions to the Bentley Bentayga, Lamborghini Urus, Volkswagen Touareg, and the Audi Q8 e-tron. So it's very inefficiently packaged. Even though it's a big car on the outside and quite big on the inside, it's not as big as it could be. Then comes along this new Audi Q6 e-tron, which is going to be built on the PPE platform, a new dedicated electric car platform, which is going to be shared with Audi and Porsche. Is also going to underpin the upcoming Macan EV. So it's safe to say that packaging, because this is a brand new dedicated electric car platform, is going to be at least as efficient as the Q4 e-tron. And considering that size-wise, it's going to be about the same size as the Q8 e-tron, it's safe to say that it's going to offer more interior space, better practicality, and also a bigger trunk. We know from the A6 e-tron concept that that car is going to be 4.95 meters long, so a little bit longer than the Q8 e-tron, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to make the Q6 e-tron a lot shorter than this. So I'm guessing around 4.9 meters, maybe like a centimeter or two shorter or longer than this. But other people have reported that it's going to be around 4.8 meters long, which doesn't make sense at all. That is way too small from what I can see from photos, and it also looks to be taller and more upright SUV shape than that Audi Q8 e-tron. This is also why I think it's going to be around the same size, but maybe a little bit taller and thus more practical. And also there is an Audi Q5 e-tron, which is basically a long wheelbase version of the Q4 e-tron built in China, which is around 4.87 or 4.88 meters long. And it does make sense to make this new Q6 e-tron shorter and smaller than the Q5 e-tron. Yes, all of this is very confusing, and we're going to try to tackle that later here in this video. As I said, built on the PPE platform, which is a brand new 800 volt architecture, and from spy photos, we've seen this car charging north of 270 kilowatts, which is really awesome. Also, it's probably going to be offered with 2 battery pack sizes, gross capacity around 80 to 85 kilowatt hours on the smaller version, and around 100 to 105 kilowatt hours gross on that bigger version. And this means range up to around 600 kilometers WLTP. Before we jump into Audi's whole nomenclature and try to make sense of all these new emerging models, which is still very hard. I don't know why Audi are making it hard for themselves and for everybody else. Before we do that, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Zaptec, with their ZapTec home charger. The ZapTec is a small, cool, and stylish home charger that can charge up to 22 kilowatts on AC charging and works with every electric car on the market, even a Tesla. But you may be thinking, hey Chris, why should I buy the ZapTec home charger? You're clearly sponsored by them. Aren't you biased? Well, I am, but luckily for you, this charger actually won Best in Test in Norwegian Automobile Association NOF's test of home chargers in 2022. So according to independent tests, this is one of, if not the best home charger on the market. So I would highly recommend you guys to get one if you're looking to one. It really means a lot to me. You will be supporting the channel, and you'll find a link in the description box down below. Now let's try to make sense of Audi's nomenclature, their naming scheme, because it still doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's going to make more sense in the future, and I could talk about this for hours. I actually tried filming this part of the video. The first time it was like 7 minutes, and I was editing it, and I'm like, oh, I can't have a 7-minute ending to a video that's already like 7 minutes long for the main topic. So if you want me to make a video on nomenclature and naming schemes from different makes, well, let me know in the comment section down below, because I think that can be a very interesting ranty video. But now with the Audi e-tron being renamed the Q8 e-tron after its facelift, Audi's lineup now is starting to make a lot more sense, where there is a clear separation between the Q4 and the Q8, where 4 is a much smaller number than 8, and now we have room for a Q6 e-tron in between. So it makes a lot of sense. And also Audi have said that odd number models are going to be ICE models, and even number models are going to be electric models. So Q4, Q6, Q8 makes a lot of sense, but still, we still have the Audi A4 and the Audi A6 and Audi A8, which are internal combustion engine models. So I don't know what's going to happen moving forward, because they say something and then it doesn't really line up with the rest of the models. But this begs the question, why do we even have an Audi Q8 e-tron now? Because that Q6 e-tron is clearly going to be the same size, possibly bigger on the inside, and also cheaper. Well, the Audi Q8 e-tron was their first, fully electric model, and now has turned into like a stopover model. This car most likely started development like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe almost 10 years ago, and that was a very different market and climate to what we have now. That's when the Tesla Model S started taking off, and we were looking to Model X and Model 3 also in the coming years. So today's electric market is very, very different, and there's a clear need and shift to fully electric vehicles. So I think Audi are not just trying to cover their steps, and I think as we're going to see the Audi Q6 e-tron actually come to market, and well, people start taking delivery next year, maybe in a year, I think the Audi Q8 e-tron is going to just slowly just fade out of existence. But we're probably going to see a new Q8 e-tron model somewhere between 2024 and 2026 going to be revealed, because now there's like a space above the current Q6 which isn't filled. Like I'm talking about EX90 size Mercedes EQS SUV, which is a very, very big market. And then the lineup is going to start to make a lot more sense, where the Q8 now is going to be retired. That's an old internal combustion engine platform, MLB Evo, which is shared by like Bentley Bentayga, Volkswagen Touareg, Lamborghini Urus, and then the Audi Q8 e-tron. This is a very efficient platform and it's going to be phased out as we move forward. And I can bet an arm and leg that Audi are already very far under development with an Audi Q8 next generation, which is going to be a large 5 meter plus, possibly 5.1 meter long 7-seat electric SUV. So the future is very exciting for electric cars in all segments. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Are you excited about the new Q6 e-tron? When we look to the future, it makes a lot more sense, and there's a reason why they just didn't, stop making the Q8 e-tron now, because there is need for that vehicle, but I think it's going to be slowly faded out as time goes on. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.